Hi, and welcome to DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. This is the JF-17. I did pre-order this aircraft, but I wasn't able to see it on release day due to real life, and this is now my first opportunity to look at this plane. I did, however, get to look at other people's cold and dark start videos, and I have got to read the manual. So I do know a little bit about starting this plane. Now, I'm going to do also a range test in this video, and we're going to be having a look at how far we can fly just on the external tanks. I'm going to be flying from Kerman Airport on the Persian Gulf map, and we are going to fly all the way down to Liwa Air Base down here. So we'll draw a line just to give you an idea of where we're flying between. We are going to be going from up here, Kerman Airport, all the way down to Lima Air Base. And then we're going to get to Lima Air Base, we're going to land, and then we're going to take off again, and we're going to fly all the way back to Kerman Airport. And we're going to try to do that just on the external tanks. So we have to find a good altitude and a good amount of throttle to try and get the most out of this plane. We'll jump back into the plane, and we will get started with the cold and dark start. We can see on the plane we've just got 3 external tanks. So let's do the cold and dark start. We're going to start just by turning this around for the oxygen. I'm going to connect this. I'm going to turn on SHARS. I'm going to put this to transmit, receive, and ground. I'm going to change these two to the bottom switch, AG2 and AG. I'm going to scroll up. We've got the afterburner. I'm going to put to off. I'm going to click here to release the throttle. I'm going to turn on the start pump and the engine control. I'm going to go up here. We've got the taxi lights. I'm going to left click on that to put it onto taxi. We're going to take the parking brake to off. We're going to go up here. We've got 3 switches. We're going to turn these all around to the right. I'm going to go down to here. We're going to put this onto the battery, the AC gen and the DC gen. We're going to click here on combat. I'm going to go down to intercom. I'm going to turn these 3 up. I'm going to turn this onto norm. I'm going to go down to here. We're just going to turn these lights up a little bit. And then we're going to change all this to whatever you like. I'm putting it on 2 to normal, bright, and anti-collision. I'm leaving this one on steady. I'm going to go down to here, and I'm going to double left click on our cartridge. We're going to close our cockpit with 1 left click. We'll wait for it to get to that point, and then we're going to close it all the way. Going to get rid of the joystick by left clicking down there. We've got INS data, left shift and K on the keyboard. I'm going to then begin to fill in this information. So we've got latitude. I'm going to change here, 1 left click, 301527 and left click. I'm going to left click here, 05657406 and left click. And then we've got altitude 5057. I believe we would have to put the 0 in, 05752 and left click. Okay, great. We've got all that information. Now I think we have to go down to here and we put this onto fast. We've got a timer and we know we need the number 251. So we're just going to put in down here 1 left click and then put in 251. We've got 251 entered and we'll just change this to nav. Now we need to start our engines. We want to bring up some other information. So we're going to change this to this information. We'll go over to this window. I'm just going to bring up the data for our fuel tanks. So we've got that over here. And the one down here I'm going to put on SMS just for the moment. Okay, let's start the engine. I'm going to hold down left click on here. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5. We'll have a little look and see if the number's moving. It is. I'm going to left click here once. And I'm going to go down here and move that pin. Now we should be pretty much done with our cold and dark start at this point. We can turn nose wheel steering on with left Alt and D on the keyboard. To be sure it's started up, we can see the nose wheel steering there. Engine is still starting. We have a master warning. We can just click that message up there just to stop it flashing. Engine is still starting up. Have a quick overlook over everything, but I think we are pretty much set up as we stand. That's the cold and dark start complete. So now we are going to do the objective of flying from up here in Kerman Airport, and we're going to go all the way down to Lima Air Base. And we'll check out how good this external tanks are. We've got a fuel total of about 10,996. We'll try and get in the air as soon as we possibly can. We do have a little bit of a taxi. Just forwards, right, and then we'll take off. We're going to be heading in the direction of 203. And we'll show you how to use the autopilot once we get in there. Then there won't be a lot of talking from me because we're just traveling. But we will be trying to get to Lima Air Base. So the engine is well and truly started up. The parking brake is off. We can let this plane filter forward slowly. I'm just going to click on jettison down here. Now, as we fly along, we're going to be emptying out the fuel tanks that we no longer need. Just going to change this screen for the moment. We want to find the one which lets us set up the data cartridge. So let's see if we can work that out. I'm going to go back down here. I'm going to eject it. I'm going to put the data cartridge back in. I'm going to have a look up here and see if it gives me an option. It has. I'm going to click all and I'm going to click enter. It appears it's under data. It appears. Data or EWS. So we'll just let it finish that process. Now we've got our external tank showing up here. And just to learn, we want to know how we bring that up again. So if I click the data, DTC, and that's where it's located. So we click on the bottom middle, we click data, and if we have to go back to the data cartridge, it's under DTC it seems. We left click once, and then we can find it. Now this is pretty much my first flight with this aircraft, so I think I've done pretty well for a start. I only have watched other people's videos to learn the cold and dark start. And I know most people will have started by just straight away clicking this. I just decided I wanted to start the engine last to make sure I have all my buttons in place. And it does seem to work as an option. So that is good. I'm going to click back on EFIS, which gives us this information. I'm going to swap this over onto here. So if I click on return and then put EP1, it looks like that's swapped. Put EP12 and that's come up here. So we've got all that information. We've got our jettison information here. I believe it draws from the wing tanks first, so if we select our wing tanks, they're ready to go. And when we get in the air, we'll just put the master arm to on, and then we can hit the weapons release button, and that should drop the tanks, hopefully. But that's going to be quite a while away because we've still got a lot of fuel in the tank ready to go. Let's see if we can move this plane forward, and we'll start taxiing. Give it just a little bit of throttle, and we'll see how we go. We're moving. This is exciting. The external model looks pretty good. I understand there is no wing flex at the moment, so that would be good if we could get wing flex. And also, there is no air-to-air refueling yet, so it would be very good if we can get air-to-air refueling. But besides that, we'll do this fuel range test. A lot of people have done cold and dark start videos, and I have done that in this video, but not a lot of people have done a range test video, so I'm going to do that and actually show you the range test without just giving you the result. We'll have to pick an altitude that will give us the maximum range. Usually on the F-18 Hornet, about 32,000 is pretty good, so we may choose something similar to that. Now I have selected for the afterburner not to come on, so we'll just check with the afterburners not coming on this takeoff. Does seem to be off. We're just going to watch our speed. Turn those wheel steering off. I'm going to pull back at around about 170. 150, 160 and 170. We're pulling back. We have takeoff. Positive rate of climb, we're pushing G on the gear. Plane feels very heavy, especially compared to many of the other aircraft in this game. And we're going to change our direction to 203. Air brakes are in, flaps are in, and the gear is up, hopefully. We don't have a good view there, so let's have a look. My gear is up. So we'll come around to 203 and then we'll try out the autopilot. We do want to climb quite quickly, so we'll leave it at full throttle just at this stage. Just have a look down at our airport where we took off from, down there. That's the Kerman Airport. We're now heading parallel to the airport. And very soon we'll be heading south. We're now heading south, and we'll just do that a little bit more to get ourselves towards 203. So we're at 200, 1, 2, 3. Just let it drift slightly. We're going to push on autopilot, attitude. It is still turning. So we'll change that. We'll just bring it back to 203. Four, 3. Now we've got 203. So we're still climbing at full throttle. We're just at 12,000 at the moment. And we've got a speed of 293 in climbing. Just going to ease it back till we get out of the yellow. So we're just going to get this until it goes green. We're green, so we'll stop now. And we'll just let it rise. Both are going positive. Our speed's going up and altitude's going up. This will burn off soon. Maybe inclining it just a little bit too much, so we'll put it back under 5. Keep trying to push that nose down. Take that autopilot off. I'm going to push that nose down. I'm going to put it about there, and I'm going to put the autopilot back on. Coming up to about 17,000 feet now. We can adjust these lights so they point inwards. We'll go to this one and we'll point that one inwards. We'll go over to this side, we'll point this one inwards, and we'll go to this one and we'll point that one inwards. We do have an additional light down here, it looks. Gives you a red glow, but we do not need that at the moment. Just check V settings down here. Might make it a little bit colder. Norm. We can turn this on now, MSL. It's on nav. Oxy blink. I'd like to know exactly how useful that is. We've got oxygen up here. If we turn this down, we turn it back up. Hopefully it's a good sign, but it's blinking. Very unusual to have a cockpit which does not have the normal instruments on it. We'll just go down a little bit and we'll just have a little look around this here so that we can read what's up here. We've got pitch trim, roll trim and yaw trim highlighted. AGT2 is highlighted. We pushed FPM, what would that do? It does not seem to do anything at the moment. Scroll around so we can see the other side. Some more warning area here. This is for landing. We're not going to use that today. Hopefully I can just get by with the flaps and brakes and air brakes. Would be useful to know exactly what this does, but we're not doing any combat on this flight, so what I can do is I can put the master arm 2 on. Light, taxi light is still in the on position. Out here we've got 2 options for the fuel. Brake is on norm. Afterburner is still in the off position. I believe this may be for emergency starts. If we look for these options, there's nothing obvious that indicates you could do air-to-air refueling. EFCS yaw trim button here. There's a bid test button. That's not clickable. And there's nothing clickable there with that instrumentation. If we look out our window, what can we see? See if we can peek out our head a little bit. We look over the edge. We can see our fuel tank down there. And a pretty clean wing. Jump over to the other side. And then lean over and have a look. And we can see our fuel tank down there. Check how we're doing on the map. So at the moment we've moved quite a little bit. We're about here on our journey. We're still heading 203. We'll see if we need to align that any better. Going from around about here to there. 203, 204 will get us there, so it's not too bad. Just put it on to 5. Now there won't be a lot of talking at this point as we're just doing the test on this fuel. We will back off on the fuel soon as we're now getting towards our altitude. We've got 97. Bring that down to 96. Just on 96 now. Go back up, we can still see we're climbing. I think the speed's coming back a little bit. We can get to around about 32, that should be pretty good. Don't know if we can get more benefit from going higher. Mark 0.8 at the moment. That is coming down. You can see our fuel tanks here. Very strange to only have this information here. So we'll watch our flight now and we'll see how we go. Just rocketing along at Mach 0.8. 474 knots. We're sitting at 27,000 feet. Gonna let it go up to about 32. We'll just pop below the 10,000 soon. We'll try to fly as direct a path as we can. Coming up to 29,000 feet soon. We'll also keep an eye on this as the flight progresses. There is a switch down here. Relating to the oxygen. Could go buff the contrails, but we won't. Thirty 30,000 feet now. Over 1,500 in the left and right externals. 31,000 feet. And we'll level it off very soon. Interestingly, our mark is now at 0.81. We can see the ocean ahead. Let's see if that matches. We could possibly see the ocean. It's still quite a way away. So the PAC JF-17 is a lightweight, single-engine, multi-role combat aircraft jointly developed by the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex and the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation of China. JF-17 can be used for aerial reconnaissance, ground attack, and aircraft interception. Its designation JF-17 by Pakistan is short for Joint Fighter 17, while the designation and name FC-1 by China means Fighter China 1 Fierce Dragon. JF-17 to become the backbone of Pakistan's Air Force, complementing the General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon at half the cost. The PAF, Pakistan Air Force, inducted its first JF-17 squadron in February 2010. The JF-17 was primarily developed to meet the Pakistan Air Force requirement for an affordable, modern, multi-role aircraft as a replacement for its large fleet of Dassault Mirage 3-5 fighters, Nanchang A-5 bombers, and Chengdu F-7 interceptors, with a cost of $500 million, divided equally between China and Pakistan. By 1989, because of economic sanctions by the United States, Pakistan had abandoned Project Sabre II, a design study involving US aircraft manufacturer Grumman and China, and decided to redesign and upgrade the Chengdu F-7. In the same year, China and Grumman started a new design study that developed the Super 7, another redesigned Chengdu F-7. Initial design of the Super 7 was originally an improved, modified version of the J-7, which was a copy of the MiG-21 Fishbed. Grumman left the project when sanctions were placed on China following the political fallout from the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests. After Grumman left the Chengdu Super 7 project, the Fighter China project was launched in 1991. In 1995, Pakistan and China signed a Memorandum of Understanding for joint design and development of a new fighter, and over the next few years worked out the project details. In June 1995, Mikoyan had joined the project to provide design support. This also involved the secondment of several engineers by CAC. The funder has a complex DNA. It integrates many technologies from existing aircraft, a cannon from the MiG-21, an engine from the MiG-29, and various sets of avionics and HOTAS similar to the F-16s, which facilitated the transition of Pakistani pilots flying F-16s. The J-17 has a bubble canopy with a great view, a straight wing layout, and advanced avionics that allow the use of very modern armament like precision-guided munitions, laser-guided rockets, anti-ship, man-in-the-loop cruise missiles, and much more. The KLI-7 radar provides excellent air-to-ground, air-to-sea, and air-to-air capability. The WMD-7 targeting pod is a useful tool to define the SPI sensor point of interest that can be used by other sensors as well, although the joint fighter is relatively small and nimble when compared to modern fighter jets. Keep in mind that size isn't everything when functionality and mission versatility are considered. This functionality is noticeable with the impressive array of Chinese and Western ordnance available, but it also extends to the cockpit itself, which consists mainly of Western ordnance available. This functionality is noticeable with the impressive array of Chinese and Western ordnance available, but it also extends to the cockpit itself, which consists of 3 digital displays that contain dozens of sub-menus. On top of all these bells and whistles, a functioning DTC, data transfer cartridge, is a very nice touch that allows you to use preset countermeasure programs, preset flight plans, and even preset weapon programs, like the complex CM-802 AKG missile. Decker Ironworks team simulated the most modern fighter jet in DCS world so far. The Fierce Dragon has a rich heritage and will very likely become a formidable ally to have in your wing, or a foe to be reckoned with on multiplayer servers. see our canopy status. Canopy closed. Canopy seal handle. Canopy closed mark. Canopy stop mark. Canopy open mark. And then canopy manual crank apparently is down here. Alright, so you can manually crank it. Interesting, and then so this whole thing would turn around. If we go down to here, actually we'll be looking over here, so console control light, instrument control light, and the floodlight, anti-collision lights, we've got exterior lights, and we've got our formation lights, navigation position lights, bright off dim, we've got our flash and anti-collision, we've got a data transfer cartridge and the eject button for that. Look up a little bit more, we've got some more information from the radios. So we've got a COM1 radio switch, intercom switch, we've got a radio upper lower antenna switch and a speaker control switch, missile volume switch, TCN ILS switch, COM2, landing gear override handle, a defog switch, environmental control system, and the air temperature controller. So oxygen is coming down. As we look up further, we have got the AAP brightness, heads up display. Put it on declutter mode and norm. So let's have a look at declutter. Well, that is decluttered. And if we put it back to norm, then we get all our information. HUD MFCD day-night switch. I'll put it to night. It looks like it's dimmed this. Put it back to day. It's a operator. AAP avionics activation panel. And the INS inertial navigation system. Got a whole bunch of buttons down here. A few of them are not lit up. So we've got ACMI, Air Combat Maneuvering Instrumentation. Then we've got SPJ, Self-Protection Jammer. Turn that on. CLDP, Convertible Laser Designator Pod. And the IRST, Infrared Search and Track. It's not functional on the aircraft variant. The train mode, combat mode, and off. We'll keep going. We'll look up a little bit. Got the warning panel, day-night switch. We've got the oxygen flow indicator, warning panel test button. Keep going. Got a lot of warning lights, information, control, and caution light information. Up here we have a magnetic compass, barometric pressure setting knob. Down here we've got emergency pneumatic system pressure indicator, oxygen pressure indicator, which is still going down. We've got our main cockpit. We've got our status lights up there. We've got all our HUD information, so let's go have a look at our HUD. See what I can make out of that. Peak aircraft Gs. Got a master mode and our Mach speed. Over here we've got our airspeed, acceleration, angle of attack, and our heading, horizon line. We've got total fuel indicator up here. We have our altitude over here, radar altitude, would be down here, but we don't have that at the moment. That probably comes up only when we're closer to the ground. Time difference. We've got a flight plan number mentioned here, and we've got a clock down the bottom, so 9:56. A bore sight cross, roll bank indicator, and we've got the flight path marker, which would be this. Our horizon line is obviously in this case here. Scroll down. Got similar information when we go over to here. So we've got our pitch ladder, we've got our mark speed, airspeed, glide slope deviation, angle of attack up here, 4.8 at the moment, vertical speed, altitude, bank angle is still shown here, barometric pressure 29.92. Keep going down. We've got some mirrors on this aircraft, although I don't know if I have enabled them. I may have turned them off. Canopy destination cord is this through here. Then we've got the UFCP, which we've got here. We've got a keypad. We've got a data field select buttons through here. UFCP data field select buttons. Display field, COM1, COM2. Okay, so heads up display brightness. A fast select rocker switch here. It's used to increase or decrease the value selected in the data display fields. So you could hit something up here and then use this to go up and down. Short click increases by 1, holding click increases the value. Standby backup knob and the up front control panel over here. That's most of those. You can go through the options that are there. So PFL, pilot fault line displayed on MFCP. Video recorder buttons. DST, destination information. TOT, time on target, time of day. The time of date and day. Fuel data display on the UFCP. We might put that up. IFF and a return button. Over here we've got the offset aiming point. We've got the crater mark point. Position update, used to realign the inertial navigation system in the air. HNS, hybrid navigation system. Allows use of both GPS and INS. Autopilot and a flight path marker, cage or uncage. Function useful for high crosswind situations. Okay, so we'll just have a little look at this. We'll put the flight path marker on, we'll put it back off. That would be the cage, uncage button. If we look here, we've got flight plan A selected, waypoint 1 selected, or waypoint 0 in this case. CAS toggles airspeed value between CAS, calibrated airspeed, and true airspeed. That looks interesting. Let's hit that and see what happens. Now if we look up here, we've got 472. We go back to calibrated airspeed, 269. True airspeed, 472. And it also changes it down here. COM radio 1 selects, and COM preset radio 2. Waypoint 1. What else is this? Auto. So this is talking about waypoint update. Auto, manual. Toggles waypoint switching automatically to the next waypoint when aircraft is less than 2 nautical miles from the selected waypoint. No problem at all. So this is the left MFCD, right MFCD, and the center. Looks like they are all capable of doing color. then we shall move on to the left. So we'll go over to here. We've got the deploy jettison shoot switch. Down here is the backup SAIU, standard armament interface unit, knob selector, off, bomb, IR and gun. Scroll down and we'll have a look at this through here. We've got a speed brake button, we've got a drag shoot deployed button, and we've got a TEF trailing edge flaps button. Landing gear indicator light test button. Next to that is the landing gear override button. Then next to that we have a landing gear indicator light brightness. The actual landing gear lever, it says it's up. Weapon master mode. We've got our emergency jettison button. And we've got a ground jettison button. We'll scroll down a little bit. Brake test. Parking brake switch. Landing lights. TEF trailing edge flap switch. So this is possibly our flaps. Ejection seat. Electric motor start. And then we've got our two fuel buttons just behind the control stick there. Ejection seat, emergency switch. Actually, this button down here is the ejection seat emergency oxygen switch. Then we have a throttle. Throttle idle, stop caging lever. To recage it, I believe you click somewhere around here. Somewhere. Looks like it's somewhere there. Looks like it's there. That looks to be the point. It's gone green. You'd have to bring the throttle back and then click there. A throttle friction lever is here. It looks like you can actually adjust that. That's interesting. Not sure how that would work when you've got a home throttle, or if that translates somehow. Afterburner detent is somewhere here. Doesn't seem to be clickable or anything like that. And the throttle friction lever is interesting. On the throttle, we've got a master mode switch on the top, countermeasure switch, target designator controller switch, speed brake switch, so between those two, and then we've got a radar antenna elevation switch, changing our radar. Also a T4 switch. Scroll down a little bit. Engine control switch. Secondary control switch. We have an engine mode switch. So this here is an engine mode switch. It has a combat mode, increases maximum allowable power. Training mode reduces maximum allowable power to reduce the engine wear. Wonder what impact that would have on fuel wear. CT and normal mode. If you needed some more combat power, you could switch this up into combat. Afterburner switch. Anti-surge switch. Engine start mode selector. So, forward is starter cold, jet fuel starter, dry crank. Middle initiates jet fuel starter, cranking sequence. Then initiates engine starter sequence. Aft, engine cold, engine dry crank. Scroll down a little bit. We've got record. Yaw trim over here. Got the yaw roll control augmentation system switch. Ejection seat. Oxygen switch. Oxygen selector. Aft, normal and forward, 100% in emergency. Flight control direct mode switch. Oh, flight control direct mode switch. Note, direct mode is initiated if angle of attack is within limits. Direct mode is only to be used for spin recovery in case of an FCS malfunction. Flight control system reset button. The configurations of the air-to-air and air-to-ground flight control systems. FCS bid test. Build and test and flight test buttons over here. AG1, air-to-ground configuration 1, weapons are mounted without external wing-mounted fuel tanks. AG2, air-to-ground configuration 2, weapons are mounted with wing-mounted fuel tanks. So the top one is for weapons with no fuel tanks, the bottom one is weapons with fuel tanks. Be careful, FCSG limit of AG2 is 5G and limit of AG1 is 6G. However, some munitions have a structural limit of 5.5G and the FCS config is still recommended AGA1. Choose wisely. Canopy severance switch. The oxygen supply switch. Oxygen tube connector. Go down. So through here we've got some radio keys through here. Radio frequency dial. Radio volume knob. Radio squelch switch, which could be useful to know about. Radio mode switch. Handover switch. We've got a flare jettison button. Emergency hydraulic pump switch. And a strapped down heading altitude reference system switch. Charge, strap down heading altitude reference system switch. We've got radio keys. Just below that we've now got a seat function. Activate zero riser switch, can't imagine we'll use that very often. Enable. Zero riser self-destruct button. And ejection seat activate. Zero riser switch, enable, disable. We'll go through anything we might have missed. We've got our ejection seat firing handle. We can actually click that, it looks. And obviously there's a whole bunch of buttons on our control. We've got our trim switches here, launch ready buttons, sensor control switch, sensor select switch. The trim button is here. Missile type, gun trigger is around the other side. Missile step button. And autopilot engage, disengage switch seems to be towards the rear behind the switch here. Heads up display recorder, located somewhere back here. Got speed brakes on the outside of the plane, which would come out here and here. And the drag chute comes out of there. Let's see how our plane's doing. We're almost there. We're over halfway. We could look at bringing her down. I'm going to ease back on that throttle just slightly. And we'll very gently turn off our autopilot. And we'll start facing it down. We want to do a very, very shallow dive if possible. It's looking a lot better. We'll put our autopilot back on. Mach 0.82. Anti-collision light on top. Navigation position light. Formation lights are these. We'll have landing lights down here when they were coming out, and the taxi lights. More formation lights here. These ones are navigation position lights. Boundary layer control system holes. And the DSI supersonic inlet somewhere around here. Static port somewhere up here. Pilot P-top probes. Angle of attack sensor. On top we've got our GPS and navigational antennas. And the COM1 radio is here, interesting. So we know what that is. IFF identity system is down here, underneath the plane. COM1 is also there. So IFF is that little one in front, and then the COM1 is there. So COM1, and then COM2. And the COM2 UFF is also located up here. Electrostatic energy dispenser. Flight control communication antenna. Missile approach warning system. Very interesting, but that's what this is. We've got some digital map options. We might be able to use the digital map on one of the screens. We might try this one. Click map. We've got a map. You can see where we are on the map. There's some more information there. Fuel's 8.5. We could definitely start to bring it down. We might want to just get heading a little bit better. We want about 210. Turn the autopilot off. Bring our throttle right back. Run 210. We'll level it up there. Altitude is coming down. Still a little way to go, so we won't dive too much deeper than this. Gotta get past Abu Dhabi, but this should get us past there. 10:15 in the morning. Sun should be somewhere above. There we go. Always awesome to see, no matter which direction you look at it from. So we'll put the flaps out when we get below 300 knots. Our landing lights are selected already. We also have a speed brake that we can use. And we'll try and do about a 10-degree angle of attack on our landing. We'll see how we go with that. Standard 24,000. Coming down pretty nicely at the moment, not too much need to change much. We're just going past Abu Dhabi now. See if we can see. That's just below us. Still quite a way up, but we've got a little way to go. Mark 0.72. Over here we've got our high pressure turbine speed. This is our exhaust gas temperature. Still got a little bit of oxygen left, but we should be coming down now. $20,000 feet. We'll soon be able to look for the airport. See if we can get some better information. Heading 210. JF-17 is equipped with 3 internal fuel tanks, 2 internal wing tanks. External tanks can be equipped under the fuselage and the wings. Total fuel quality is displayed here and here. And you can look at the data fuel subpage, which is what I'm doing. Please keep in mind there can be an engine flameout if the afterburner is engaged for over 5 seconds during a negative G condition, or for over 12 seconds in a 0 G condition. Left wing tank, right wing tank, front fuselage, center, aft fuselage, external left wing tank, external right wing tank, and center tank. I'm just going to pull back on our throttle even further. I think we've got enough altitude to work with here at the moment. So bring that throttle right back. Going to turn our autopilot off. We're going to pose our nose down just a little bit more. -5° down angle. External wing fuel tanks and in the centerline tank. Going pretty good. Not sure where our airport is, but I think it might be that. Let's have a little look. Looks like we've got a runway through here. If we have a look at our map, it is to our right slightly. It's going to be the first one, which is the actual runway. We can pull in like this and turn right into it, or we could go the other way. We might pull in right. You just got to get that altitude down. Doing pretty good at the moment. Our throttle is way back. Now it's 77. Speed is not suffering, so that's all good. Definitely gonna keep pulling that throttle back at the moment. We don't need it. And we do want that speed down. So now I'm just sitting at idle. You shouldn't be burning too much fuel. I wonder if we can drop it into training mode. There we go, training mode. Selected. No warning lights. Afterburner is also still off. $8,000. Just pull the left slightly. You will have to bring back that throttle. Just test we can bring it up again. Yep, we still got throttle. Should be more than enough throttle for us to land. 6,000. $5,000. $4,000. $3,000. We're going to bring in 10. Our speed has certainly come down. Going to burn a little bit off as we make this final turn. And we'll burn off more once we put the landing gear out. 2,000. And we're going to put the gear down. $1,000. We're going to put the flaps out. We can see our speed now rapidly coming down. No need for the air brakes yet. In fact, we might come in pretty good. We're in the E bracket. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of throttle. Just need to put the wheels on the ground. Wheels on the ground and the front wheel down. We could have done a bit more air braking by holding up the nose, but we're well and truly on the ground. Just idle throttle. We're going to be able to brake pretty easy. We can put the air brakes out now. Just to help. We'll apply the wheel brakes. Now I wonder if we have enough runway left to actually take off still. Will we have landed so quickly that we still have enough runway to take off on this same thing? We are totally stable and landed. That's how much runway we have used, and that's how much runway we have left. I think it would be a hard call to take off in that kind of distance. You could do it with afterburner maybe, but I don't think we will do it with the training mode engines. So we're going to go off the runway and then we'll go back on. Put our nose wheel steering on. They'll look at a map. Doesn't even show the airport. $8144 on landing. Our flaps up. Air brakes back in. And then we'll just quickly check for us to head back the other way. I believe we're looking at about 21. We're going up to there, and we need about 24, 23. Let's go back down here, just check we're still in training mode this time. We'll immediately get in the air and take off. Full throttle. I'm 30, 140, 150, I'm pulling back. We're taking off. We're 500 feet, putting the gear up.
Altitude, altitude, altitude.
We are away. Need to get to 21, so we'll go left. Still full throttle at the moment. We're just climbing just above 5. Just get it out of the thick air down the bottom quickly. See if we can ease this back just slightly to 98. There we go, we're in the green. 97 will do. We'll push down this autopilot soon. Just put our nose down a little bit. It's around 5 degrees. And I'm going to put the engage autopilot again. $10,000. Speed is going up and altitude is going up. We're holding steady on 23 and 5. Mark 0.73 at this altitude, 11,000. Now, we do not need to eject this yet, but we will be doing that soon, once this goes and becomes empty. Weapons is armed, we can see that from the weapon switch up here, and we can also physically look at our weapon master arm. going to put this over to full. JF-17 is by definition one of the most versatile aircraft when it comes to armament and sensors. Here's an overview of how the funder can see the outside world. There's a Kill 7 radar, pulse Doppler, look down and shoot radar. With both VR, on visual range, and close in ACM, air combat maneuvering modes of operation for air-to-air combat. Air-to-ground and air-to-sea modes are also implemented, which makes it a very powerful tool at your disposal. That link pod is used to allow TV-guided missiles to be controlled remotely. You can get a WMD-7 targeting pod divided to provide precision strike capability. Target designation is achieved by a laser designator rangefinder. It is also capable of displaying the FLIR, forward-looking infrared thermal imagery. And you can get a missile, CM or C701 TV-guided missile, Seeker head feed. These air-to-ground missiles have Seeker heads that have video capability and can be used as supplemental sensors. Now sitting at 22,000 feet, cruising along. .48 mark. Radar lingo, bandit, identified enemy target, bogey, unidentified enemy target. Spike air-to-air radar is locked on you. Buddy spike, friendly radar is locked on you. Nails, radar contact, does not have a radar lock on you. Fox 1, aim 7. Fox 2, aim 9. Fox 3, an active radar missile. Rifle, air-to-ground missile. Ray gun, when locking a target with your radar, it's good practice to say ray gun so your teammates are aware that you are locking someone. It's often used to identify a contact as friend or foe. If a person yells buddy spark, it is very likely that you are locking a friendly contact. IFF, is he friendly or bandit? Pitbull, any Fox 3 missile that starts using its onboard radar for tracking. The WMD-7 targeting pod is a self-contained multi-sensor targeting surveillance system. The WMD-7 enables aircrews to detect, acquire, auto-track and identify targets at long ranges for weapons delivery or non-traditional intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions. The WMD-7's FLIR charged coupled device, CCD, laser imaging sensors, advanced imaging processing and digital video output provide useful imagery of targets on the ground, allowing aircrews to identify and engage targets using a wide range of battlefield conditions. Well, that's nice. We don't have one on the plane at the moment. See what else we can do. If I click here. Radar mode. INS. TACAM. Approach. Pod. Combat. A gun. You could then click feed. Master arm is on. And that's how you shoot. So it's easy enough. We haven't got anything else on the plane at the moment, so we do have shafts and flares. Flares, shafts and flares. So it can carry the MK82, the MK82 SE Snake Eye, and MK83 and the MK84. These are all unguided bombs. The gun pod is a GSH-23-2 cannon, twin-barreled 23mm autocannon with 180 rounds. Air-to-air missiles, the PL-5EII, infrared guided air-to-air missile similar to the AIM-9. And the ST-10, active radar homing air-to-air missile similar to the AIM-120. Rockets, the BRM-1, laser guided. And the 2.75 inch, which is used for general purpose. Air-to ground missiles, got the C-701 infrared seeker TV missile. Can be used at night in bad weather. And the TV guided one again, the CM-802 AKG. 150 km low profile range and man in the loop control, which is similar to the C-701 but more flexible. It's basically a cruise missile that can be controlled from the aircraft with a data link pod. There's an anti-radiation missile, and there's an anti-ship missile. If you want to rearm, which I didn't do because we're trying to do a test on fuel, we're at 44,000 feet. We're going to turn this autopilot off very soon. Point our nose just down a little bit further, and bring our throttle back just a little bit more. Put our autopilot back on. Just watch our airspeed. Climbing very gently now. We still have fuel in those external tanks, so if we have a little look at how far we've managed to get all the way from Kerman Airport to Leeway Air Base, land, take off, and we're still back to here, just on those external tanks at the moment with the JF-17. So we might be able to reach back towards Iranian airspace very soon. Just on those external tanks in the wings. But if we need to, we would eject the DTC and then do our rearm and reload and select our weapons. We'd go into the menus up here. And we don't have the option, but you would need to go to ground crew and get them to reload the DTC information. Once that's done, then we can reload the cartridge. We go back up here to the DTC menu and then select all and load that information, and then it would all come back up here. I haven't demonstrated that because that's not the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. That would be doing everything we're not trying to do in this video. The SMS stands for Stores Management System page. It can be accessed by clicking here and then clicking SMS. And that gives you the SMS page. This page looks like the A10's DSMS Data and Stores Management System page and allows you to select armament program useful options like gun firing speed, bomb delivery mode, or advanced air-to-ground missile modes. The content of the SMS page needs to be loaded from the DTC data cartridge. The wing form display provides the number, type, and status of all stores located on the aircraft's weapon stations. The gun rounds remain is indicated at the top of the wing form. When flying the JF-17 is heavy load configurations, you must be careful not to exceed the structural limits. Air-to-air missiles and pods do not have structural G restrictions. The heavy air-to-ground weapon pylons, like the GB6 or the C802AK, can be jammed or damaged using higher G maneuvers. When the pylon is damaged, launching or jettisoning the payload may not be possible. The missile itself can also be damaged. Try to avoid pulling more than 4 to 5 G when you've got a heavy payload. You can deliver with CCRP or CCIP. CCIP is continuously computed impact point, and CCRP is continuously computed release point. I haven't got any weapons on this at the moment, so we are not going to be doing that. But sure enough, we'll be giving that a go soon. Targeted opportunity modes, PP pre-plan mode, snow plow mode for the guided missile, slave to targeting pod, the DIR direct mode, and the COO coordinate mode. MAN, man in the loop, manual. To use the MITL, man in the loop mode, to control the missile remotely, JF-17 needs to carry a data link pod. Check how our plane is going. It looks like we're going up a little bit higher this time. Just sitting at 34,000. It's actually now coming down with that amount of thrust. It's not a problem. We might give it just a little bit more. Turn the autopilot off. We'll just see if we can point this nose up just a little bit. I'm going to turn the autopilot back on. I'm just going to change it to hold the altitude. We're now sitting just under 34. Speed is pretty constant at 445, 0.77 mark. Or 253 k's. There's anti-radiation missiles. Or anti-ship missiles. plenty of different weapons we can deploy. Countermeasures are very simple to use. You have 3 countermeasure types at your disposal: flares, chaff, and an ECM electronic countermeasure jammer. We'll explore together what is used against what and how. Missiles can generally track you using 2 things: a radar signature, radar waves descend on you and you reflect them, which is called a radar signature, and heat signature, like the exhaust of your engines. Countermeasures will only be effective against the kind of weapons it was meant to counter. A heat-seeking missile will not care if you deploy electronic countermeasures, since it only tracks heat, not radar signatures. This is why it's important to know what is attacking you in order to counter it properly. That is what the RWR, radar warning receiver, is for, to help you know what is firing at you so you can take adequate action. Flares are used against missiles to track heat, and chaff is a form of passive jamming. Passive reflected jamming is when a deceptive object or device reflects radar waves. Chaff is simply a bundle of small pieces of metal, foil with reflective coating, which creates clusters of radar signatures that prevent a radar to get a solid lock on the aircraft itself. The KG-600 self-protection jammer is the onboard electronic countermeasure system. It is a form of continuous jamming, also called active or transmitted jamming. This device transmits its own synchronized radar waves back at your enemy's radar receiver to simulate erroneous radar waves so returns. Simply point, active jamming will try to drown a radar in white noise. In order to use these 3 forms of countermeasures, you can use countermeasure programs. Below flare and chaff are released with the OESP optical electronic self-protection dispenser system. Preset countermeasure release programs. Radar warning receiver. JF-17 can carry up to 36 chaffs and 32 flares. The KG-600 self-protection jammer is the onboard electronic countermeasure system. The KG-600 detects and receives threat, pulse, fire control, and guidance radars and has 3 operating modes: standby, jamming, transmit, and build and test. The ECM system detects processes and transmits a simulated target echo for deception when a radar signal is received. The simulated echoes are recognized by the enemy radar as true target returns. Targeting radar then tracks a false target and breaks lock from the true target. Great radar indications are indicated on the radar warning receiver. The jammer can be accessed in the CMBT page. Let's see if we can find this jammer. We got combat, so that would be the CMBT page. And then there's an OESP subpage. If we scroll over, we don't see anything like it, but we have chaff flare button here. Put it on auto mode. Manual and auto. little look at our menus. Just going to type in deploy. Might type in Chaff, see if we get anything. Flare. Flare dispense button. We don't have one set. You can open that cover, and then there's a second button. Let's try something. Definitely do not have anything set for this. It's on the throttle, so let's try something. It's going to open it, and that's going to dispense it. Click OK. We'll jump into our external. It's going to open it. No worries. Still sitting at 33,000. It's pretty constant at the moment. External tanks are now gone. We're going to drop them off. Selected to drop, so not much luck. could do the panic mode, but we don't really want to do that. still got 1,000 on that center line tank. And we've got this distance to go on 1,000. I don't really want to bring it down yet. We could drop our speed if we wanted. '94. We do have still quite a bit of distance to go, so we'll try and get any fuel savings we can from this altitude. .1069. Cruising along. .910. Can we let it come down yet? Still got a few minutes. Bring back our speed a little bit further. Turn our autopilot off. And we're just going to gently put it in the dive. There we go. That will stop a bleed of our speed too much. The pilot's back on. In fact, speed's going back up, which we don't need. So we'll ease that throttle back even further. Pretty good. still quite high up. We're well above 27, so we're not really losing too much in terms of altitude advantage. We do need to slowly come down. Got a few minutes before we get to 27. Minutes away, at least. Still need heading to about 24, so we could just gradually point it to the right. We've got 24. We've got Autopilot on.
Warning.
Looks like it may have been speed related, but we couldn't jettison, or altitude related, because it's just dropped, despite me trying for quite a long time. Try AG1, see if it's happy. It's now happy with that configuration, and those have dropped for quite a long time. That would have saved us quite a bit of fuel had it happened earlier. So either it's linked to the altitude or the speed was too high. Maybe altitude based, because we were not able to jettison for a very long time there. We've now dropped to altitude and we were able to jettison. If you are having difficulty jettisoning, the only thing that was missing was the altitude. It just seemed to be too high to jettison at that speed. Nothing else changed. Been hitting the same button the whole time. When the time comes, we could get rid of the middle, but we'll hold off on that because our aim is to try and get there on just a 732. We have backed off the throttle quite a lot. We can turn autopilot off and just put it into a more deeper dive. Put our autopilot back on. Just drop below 30,000 now. Our speed is sitting at Mach 0.84. JF-17 is a fly-by-wire system. It replaces the conventional manual flight controls of an aircraft with an electronic interface. The FCS flight control system has a certain level of control over the pitch, roll, yaw control inputs. The lateral and directional control system is a mix of mechanical control system and authority-limited CAS-SAS. Lateral CAS receives digital roll rate command from the stick and uses roll rate feedback to provide dampening and roll rate control. The FCS will automatically trim the aircraft, adjust leading edge flaps to achieve the best lift to drag ratio, automatically limit G loading, and attack of angle to avoid structural damage or aircraft stall. At high speed, the stick controls the aircraft's vertical G. At low speed, the stick controls the aircraft's pitch rate. A high angle attack, the aircraft forces the nose down to remain within angle of attack limits. After the landing gear is retracted, the FCS will maintain positive speed stability. If aircraft enters a spin, the direct link mode switch must be engaged to automatically exit the spin. However, if the aircraft is within angle of attack limits, this function will not work. There's an automatic takeoff trim function. It activates when the wheel speed exceeds 41 knots and starts deflecting the horizontal stabilizer to 8 degrees of deflection angle when reaching 108 knots. In the roll and yaw axis, control augmentation system will ensure adequate flight control performance, but roll and yaw control systems are not fly-by-wire. This means you'll have to keep adjusting your roll and yaw with the stick and rudder throughout the flight. (618), 28,000 feet. Speed is still way up there. We can drop quite a lot, so we're going to bring that throttle back even further. We're going to turn our autopilot off, and we're going to begin our descent much more steeply. We'll put it down to around about 5. Just bringing that throttle way back now. We have 603 left still in the external tank. We've not used any internal fuel. And we have this distance left to go. It looks pretty impressive. So we'll just try it again. We're just going to now head in a degree of about 26. Maybe if we go 29, 30, we'll go out just a little bit to the right. 28. The autopilot back on. We are using no throttle at the moment. So sitting on idle. We've got it back in training mode. Afterburner is off. We still have 600 left, and we have this distance left to go. We have travelled from Kerman Airport. We've taken off, and we have landed at Lima Air Base. We've then taken off from Liwa Air Base, and we've flown all the way back up here to Kerman Airport. And we've done this just on the external tanks of the JF-17. So we're just doing a bit of a range test. I have shown a cold and dark start at the start of this video, but we are also doing a range test in this video just to provide some more additional information than just a standard cold and dark start video. And it is really impressive, the range of this plane with the single engine just on the external tanks. So we've still got 597 to go. We're trying to do it just on the external tanks. We need to be landed before this has expired, the 597. We just have this distance left to go, and we're currently sitting on the idle with the engines. Can we make it? That is the challenge. If you would like to challenge yourself, you can start a JF-17 here at Kerman Airport, take off and land at Liwa Airport, then take off from Liwa Airport and go all the way to Kerman Airport. You are not allowed to rearm and refuel at Lima Air Base or anywhere else. You must only reload and refuel at Kerman Airport. So that is the challenge if you want to give it a go. We're just going from the JF-17. We're almost back at Kerman Airport. We're sitting on idle fuel at the moment, and we have 595 left on the external tank. We are rapidly descending, and our speed is coming down. We do have a small mountain range there, but I do believe we don't need to get over that one. It's the one which we can see a little bit closer to us. So we've got this down here, and then we need to make it over that, it appears. We're going to stop the descent, being so steep. We'll angle her around about there. We're going to have to turn this autopilot off at this point. giving it a little bit of fuel and throttle back. We don't want to lose too much airspeed at this time. We have concluded that we do need to get over this range here, and then we'll have the airport shortly after that. We have 580 left on the external tank. Radar altitude is 5,000. It'll go up slightly just when we get over that mountain range. We do need to descend, so there's absolutely no problem there. $10,000 coming up rapidly. We need to land before we run out of 570. Now sitting at 9,000. We can definitely descend further. We're going to bring that throttle back a little bit. We just need to visually acquire this airport now. We should be able to begin seeing the airport. $8,000. We only have a radar altitude of 1400, but we'll see that number go up now just as we clear the range and we'll get a better idea. We are not necessarily climbing, but it is going up just at the moment. We'll try and level it off at about 1700. Descend the rest of that way pretty rapidly. 241. Slightly bringing our throttle back up. 553 now left. $1,400 feet. Going to bring the nose back up towards the horizon line. Let the autopilot help us just at the moment to keep our altitude. Going to give our plane just a little bit of speed. So we're looking for the airport on the left as we go along. We may have identified it over there. Keep looking. 194 speed. 191 speed, holding. Throttle sitting at 78.4, 78.3. Got 530 left on that centerline tank. Holding just 1300 above. looks like that is our runway there. An entrance somewhere down here. We will take it off autopilot quite soon. Looking good. 500 left. Let's have a more visual look. It looks like we have a runway down there. We're turning autopilot off. Gonna slant us out just a little bit. Gonna put our gear down. Bring back the throttle. We'll need to begin the turn. And we are right on liner. Putting flaps out. Air brakes. And landing. And we are down just on the external tanks, and we have landed with 481 left. We will have enough fuel to taxi. Haven't applied the brakes yet, but we're going to put on the nozzle steering. We're below 100 with no brakes, just on idle throttle. Air brakes and the flaps. I believe we are going to take the ride up here. Down to 50. And it drops off. No longer showing us the indicated airspeed. You can still see an airspeed down here, 28 knots, 27, 26. We can see the entrance that we want. Just give it a little bit of fuel, taking up the brakes, breaking up the flaps. And we'll start to steer off the runway. JF-17 shortly clear of the runway. We still have 474 left on the external tank. That is impressive. JF-17 clear of runway. 471. We've not used any of the internal tank fuel, just the external tanks. We have flown from Kerman Airport all the way down to Leeway Air Base, landed, taken off from Leeway Air Base, and then we've gone all the way back to Kerman Airport, and then we have landed. have not done a cold and dark or shutdown process. So we're going to put on our parking. Going to try and click somewhere around here and put the throttle back. We're going to turn off these two switches. I want to open the canopy while we still have power. We've opened the canopy. We can turn off these three switches. And we are down. It seems to be a good quick shutdown process. We still are flying with the centerline tank, which of course does still have fuel in it. We could just restart it back up just to have a look at our information on the displays. And we still have on the centerline tank 454. That's the total fuel remaining, 5580. Centerline tank 454. Awesome, so that's a startup, range test and shutdown of the JF-17. We can of course take our data cartridge out. We could do a rearm and refuel. But we are pretty good.
请求装弹。收到。装弹完毕。
We could also just check out the other livery option. It seems to be this one. And then there's of course this one which we have seen.
请求装弹。收到。
We can have a little look at the loadout options.
装弹完毕。
Thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe the video. And have a great day.